And we're back with two of my final great games on the Colecovision, and that concludes my series for now, and I'll be focusing on other systems and gameplay and what have you. But let's go check out two of my favorite titles on the last favorite titles on the Colecovision. Okay, and now on to Time Pilot. This is a game by Konami, and it really is among my favorites. This and Gyrus both are, well, among my favorite arcade games. It's an arcade original. It was ported to the Atari 2600, the MSX, Colecovision, and it is also found on the Xbox Arcade. The Commodore 64 didn't receive an official port, but it has a very nice port for it. I actually made a video on that a while ago. I may actually put a link down below in the description. So it's also a multi-directional space shooter, but it has a better control scheme because you actually move in the direction that you're pulling the stick. So that actually works quite a bit better than just the rotational control scheme that we had in the other games. So you can actually see within these games, you can actually see the control schemes evolve over time. Well, what the premise of the game is actually shoot down the enemy planes, rescue the trapped pilots. They drift down on their parachutes. You actually save them. You get a couple of extra points. Below, well, and actually you fight across different areas. This is actually 1940. You go into different areas. You start in 1910 with biplanes and the blimp as a boss. 1940 has World War II monoplanes and a B-52 bomber. 1970 has helicopters and a CH-47 that you actually have to battle. And in 1982 you actually have a jet and also a B-52 bomber. And the final stage is UFOs in 2001. The mothership, you have to destroy it, and if you reach the final level, the game just gets harder and continues to circle around these areas. So there's no end to this game. It just keeps on going. You don't get a final victory. And yeah, it really is a very nice game. If you can, please. Oh yeah, and I'm not completely. There's a great Konami Classics in the Game Boy Advance, on the Game Boy Advance. I actually made a video on that also, but it may have been flagged. I'm not sure. Konami's really being a bit of a pain in the butt when it comes to copyright stuff. Yeah, great game. It's out there on actually many platforms, and yeah, really among my favorites. So yeah, the thing is that the colors of the background really are a bit weird when it comes to this game. So 1970, I'm going to 1982 or 82. I thought it was 82, but it seems to be 1985 in this game. So it's jets, and I explode. Below the date, the year, is actually an indication of how many enemies you still have to destroy. So it does give you a sense of where you are in the level and how much longer you will have to hold out. And yeah, this is a tough game. You really find yourself being faced with this game over a lot. And here we have Zaxxon, an amazing game by Sega, released in 1982, and it's an isometric shooter, and it's scrolling, and it's well beyond what was seen on many other games at the time. You know, it had a playing field that just extended way beyond the screen. Very nice shooter, and it received quite a huge number of ports. It was brought out on the original MS-DOS. It was a bootable floppy, so it came with its own OS. The Amiga 1000 had a port, the Apple II, the Atari 8-bit range of computers, the Atari 2600, the Atari 5200, the MSX system, the ZX Spectrum also got a port. The Commodore 64 version I played a lot. The Dragon 32 also had a version, and this, of course, the Colecovision. It also came out on the Intellivision, the Sega SG-1000, and the TRS-80 color computer. Not all ports had the isometric view. Some of the older ports actually had a vertical playing field view. So the premise of the game actually is always something that kind of eluded me. You just basically fly around shooting everything in sight. You have to make sure that your fuel doesn't run out. How do you refuel? Well, by blowing up fuel drums. I'm not sure how that fueling procedure actually works, but yeah, you seem to be refueling while you destroy fuel pumps. You can gauge your altitude by looking at the altimeter, and when you reach this part where you actually fly in space with enemy spaceships approaching you, there's actually a little crosshair and a little sound that you hear when you're actually in the same height and at the same level of the and you can actually fly into enemy fire as well. It's actually, this is one of the most tough parts of the game, and it's quite a bit of hit and miss. Yeah, these gaps that you have to fly through are actually quite difficult as well. And there's also fences, laser grid fences that actually guard some of the grids, and you can actually fly into those as well. But yeah, and you actually have end bosses that you have to fight. So yeah, quite an amazing game, and I really like the isometric feel of it. It really made it into a 3D game. It's really weird how the graphics are actually cut off instead of the walls actually moving up a bit further, but actually the top and the bottom blue border actually is what you can actually see of the playing field. I would have thought that the higher stuff would actually scroll in the top left triangle, I'm not sure if I make myself clear, but yeah, there's not much enemies approach. This is the boss. And as you can see, the Coleco, like many other systems that use this chipset, has a bit of issues with too many sprites on the screen, then you get flicker. Quite a lot of systems actually have that. These small gaps make, in the more advanced levels, make it actually quite a bit tougher to maneuver. And of course, those things flying up at you, I really have to, I'm really overzealously trying to get some fuel. In the first parts of the game, you really can get by without refueling that much, but I seem to be drawn to shooting those oil drums, getting myself into very dangerous situations like that. You get shot at and you actually die quite a bit. The system doesn't, the ColecoVision doesn't feature smooth scrolling, which is a shame because that would actually have improved the game even more. But it was amazing back in the day. It still is. And this also can be found on the PSP in the Sega Genesis collection as an unlockable game. So yeah, and also on the PlayStation 2 version of the Sega Genesis collection. So great game, and this actually concludes my series on the ColecoVision, and I try not to fly into the radar, and I just did.